2, 3, 4. I think I'm losing my mind, trying to stay inside the lines.
What's up, world? Hi, I'm J-Rated, and welcome back to J-Rated Wisdom TV. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I'll be covering a topic I haven't talked about before, as you can tell by the title of the video. Yes, it's true. I'll be talking about the Illuminati. What is the Illuminati, you say? The internet is flooded with theories about the Illuminati, a mysterious group that conspiracy theorists believe is seeking a new world order that would impose a totalitarian world government. Among the alleged members of this secret society are not just politicians and religious leaders, but actors and pop stars. The original Illuminati group was founded in Bavaria in the 18th century by Adam Weishaupt, an anti-clerical professor who wanted to limit the interference of the church in public life. He based his secret society on the Freemasons, with a hierarchy and mysterious rituals, and named it the Order of the Illuminati to reflect the enlightened ideals of its educated members.
The Bavarian Illuminati was founded by Jesuit priest Adam Weishaupt in the year 1776 with the funding of the House of Rothschild. The following year, Weishaupt was initiated as a Freemason at Die Lage Theater vom Guten Rat in Munich. He soon realized the potential of the Masonic lodges as recruiting grounds for his own secret society and directed members of the order to begin illuminating Freemasonic lodges throughout Germany and later Europe. After the dissolution, the Masonic rites of strict observance at the 1782 Masonic Congress of Wilmsbad, Weishaupt and Baron von Koenige were surely able to snatch up old strict observance members and increased membership in the Bavarian Illuminati to around 3,000 members. The Illuminati soon had illuminated lodges in France, Italy, Sweden, Belgium, Holland, Denmark, Poland, and Hungary. We have all this information because in 1785, an Illuminati courier named Lanza was struck by lightning and killed while traveling by horseback through the town of Ratisbon.
Wait, hold up. Did he just say that they found out this information because one of the Illuminati carriers was hit by lightning and died?
Oh no!
Sorry, I just couldn't help it. Let's get back to the story.
An Illuminati courier named Lanza was struck by lightning and killed while traveling by horseback through the town of Ratisbon. When Bavarian officials examined the contents of the saddlebags, they discovered the existence of the Order of the Illuminati and found the plans detailing the coming French Revolution. The Bavarian government attempted to alert the government of France of the impending disaster, but the French government failed to heed this warning. Bavarian officials arrested all members of the Illuminati they could find, but Weishaupt and others had gone underground and could.
The Illuminati was stamped out by a government crackdown on secret societies in the late 1780s, but some people believe that the Illuminati continued to survive as an underground organization and have persisted into the modern day.
Our so-called leaders in Washington, whom we elected to safeguard our nation and our Constitution, are the betrayers, and that behind them are a comparatively small group of men whose sole objective is to enslave the whole world of humanity in their satanic plot of one world government. This satanic plot was launched back in the 1760s when it first came into existence under the name of the Illuminati. This Illuminati was organized by one Adam Weishaupt, born a Jew, who was converted to Catholicism and became a Catholic priest, and then, at the behest of the then newly organized House of Rothschild, defected and organized the Illuminati. Naturally, the Rothschilds financed that operation. And every war since then, beginning with the French Revolution, has been promoted by the Illuminati operating under various names and guises. I say under various names and guises because after the Illuminati was exposed and became too notorious, Weishaupt and his co-conspirators began to operate under various other names. In the United States, immediately after World War I, they set up what they called the Council on Foreign Relations, commonly referred to as the CFR. And this CFR is actually the Illuminati in the United States. And its hierarchy, the masterminds in control of the CFR, to a very great extent, are the descendants of the original Illuminati conspirators. But to conceal that fact, most of them changed their original family names to American-sounding names. For example, the true name of the Dillons, Clarence and Douglas Dillon, once Secretary of the U.S. Treasury Department, is Lepowski. There is a similar establishment of the Illuminati in England, operating under the name of the British Institute of International Affairs. There are similar secret Illuminati organizations in France, Germany, and other nations operating under different names. And all these organizations, including the CFR, continuously set up numerous subsidiary or front organizations that are infiltrated into every phase of the various nations' affairs. But at all times, the operations of these organizations were and are masterminded and controlled by the internationalist bankers, who in turn were and are controlled by the Rothschilds. As revealed in News Bulletin number 122, one branch of the Rothschild family had financed Napoleon. Another branch of the Rothschilds, both branches the real masterminds of the Illuminati, financed Britain, Germany, and the other nations in the Napoleonic Wars. Immediately after the Napoleonic Wars, the Illuminati assumed that all the nations were so destitute and so weary of wars that they'd be glad for any solution. So the Rothschild stooges set up what they called the Congress in Vienna, and at that meeting they tried to create the first League of Nations, their first attempted one world government, on the theory that all the crowned heads of the European governments were so deeply in debt to them that they would, willingly or unwillingly, serve as their stooges. But the Tsar of Russia caught the stench of the plot and completely torpedoed it. The enraged Nathan Rothschild, then the head of that dynasty, vowed that someday he or his descendants would destroy the Tsar and his entire family. And his descendants did accomplish that very threat in 1917. The Illuminati operates on the very long-range basis. Whether it will take scores of years or even centuries, they have dedicated their descendants to keep the plot boiling until they hope the conspiracy is achieved. Number one, use monetary and sex bribery to obtain control of men already in high places in the various levels of all governments and other fields of endeavor. Once influential persons had fallen for the lies, deceits, and temptations of the Illuminati, they were to be held in bondage by application of political and other forms of blackmail, threats of financial ruin, public exposure and physical harm, even death, to themselves and loved members of their families. Do you realize how many present top officials in our federal government in Washington are controlled in just that way by the CFR? Do you realize how many homosexuals in our State Department, the Pentagon, all federal agencies, even in the White House, are controlled that way? Number two, Illuminati and the faculties of colleges and universities were to cultivate students possessing exceptional mental ability, belonging to well-bred families with international leanings, and recommend them for special training in internationalism. Such training was to be provided by granting scholarships to those selected by the Illuminists. That gives you an idea what a Rhodes Scholarship means. It means indoctrination into accepting the idea that only a one-world government can put an end to recurring wars and strife. That's how the United Nations was sold to the American people. All such scholars were to be first persuaded and then convinced that men of special talent and brains have the right to rule those less gifted on the ground that the masses don't know what is best for them physically, mentally, and spiritually. In addition to the Rhodes and similar scholarships, today there are 3 special Illuminati schools located in Gordonstown in Scotland, Salem in Germany, and Anavrita in Greece. These 3 are known ones, but there are others that are kept undercover. Prince Philip, the husband of Britain's Queen Elizabeth, was educated at Gordonstown at the instigation of Lord Louis Mountbatten, his uncle, a Rothschild relative who became Britain's admiral of the fleet after World War II ended. Number 3, all influential people trapped into coming under the control of the Illuminati, plus the students who had been specially educated and trained, were to be used as agents and placed behind the scenes of all governments as experts and specialists, so they would advise the top executives to adopt policies which would, in the long run, serve the secret plans of the Illuminati one-world conspiracy and bring about the destruction of the governments and religions they were elected or appointed to serve. Number 4, perhaps the most vital directive in Weishaupt's plan was to obtain absolute control of the press, at that time the only mass communications media, to distribute information to the public, so that all news and information could be slanted, so that the masses could be convinced that a one-world government is the only solution to our many and varied problems. Now do you know who owns and controls our mass communications media? I'll tell you, practically all the movie lots in Hollywood is owned by the Lehmans, Kuhn, Loeb and Company, Goldman Sachs, and other internationalist bankers. All the national radio and TV channels in the nation are owned and controlled by those same internationalist bankers. The same is true of every chain of metropolitan newspapers and magazines, also of the press wire services, such as Associated Press, United Press International, etc. The supposed heads of all those media are merely the fronts for the internationalist bankers, who in turn compose the hierarchy of the CFR, today's Illuminati in America. Now can you understand why the Pentagon's press agent Sylvester so brazenly proclaimed that the government has the right to lie to the people? What he really meant was that our CFR-controlled government had the power to lie to and be believed by the brainwashed American people.